Alright, guys, I'm here to get into one of my all-time favorite films. This is The Wind Will Carry Us, which came out in the year 1999 and was directed by Abbas Kiarostami. It's one of my all-time favorite directors, and he was just fresh off of making a film in 1997 called A Taste of Cherry, which is just what it is to be a wanderer and a lost soul right in the face of death, ready to die, but ready to find something worth living for. Which, yes, this film is like a natural, kind of a continuation, like a piece that this character finds within his journey and taste of cherry. And the Wind Will Carry Us ends up being a much lighter version of expressing essentially a similar kind of idea, which is to find simplicity within complexity. That's kind of what all of Kiarostami films seem to be going for in the heart. They all just kind of have their own original, distinctive ways of expressing this within the world. They're very big in background texture, which is, I think, a huge source. In my opinion, I'm finding more and more background texture is one of the most essential parts, I think, just as well as the depth of characters and the soundtrack that goes around it. I know there's some films like No Country for Old Men that are perfect with that one, but in my opinion, for my personal taste, I want to go crazy. I'm gonna review No Country for Old Men. It has a masterpiece, but Wind Will Carry Us. This is just one of those that just really does kind of like portray a lot of the reasons why I 100% prefer countryside living over urban any day of the week, 24/7. Like, this is a film. It's literally, when you're in this kind of trip, this is kind of like characters that I think films like this kind of have inspired me a lot in the journey of just live the rest of your life like you're out in the desert. You're finding your way. And, you build yourself and you just execute. Those golden moments whenever they come to you, and you build upon them. But yeah, this is just sort of what it is to just kind of feel alive in the spirit in a lot of ways. I feel like Kiarostami films, and this film in particular, just feels like, just like Through the Olive Trees and Life and Nothing More, they feel like they're therapy sessions. I think watching these brings you to, the earlier ones brought you through some dark reality, but this is perhaps the lightest as far as just characters who are genuinely instilling hope within darkness. Like, they're really, really inspiring protagonists in the way that they're always finding simplicity within the complexities, and they're always in this meditative state that I really love. There's just loads of just interesting visuals, like, in this entire film. It's literally loaded with some of the best background visuals ever. All the mountains, just the massive landscape of the It's as great as the best of Malick and Tarkovsky combined. It feels like it's so good. And this is just one of those films where I think when you lend yourself to what it's doing, it's quite a life-changing. It kind of is a film, which I 100% agree with this philosophy. Just live it for the moment. I like to live in the moment, because I think too much focus on the past will equal a lot of intense depression, and then too much focus on the future will leave way too much anxiety. So it's like that middle ground of depression and anxiety, and kind of just, I think, being in the moment literally rises you, elevates you above those, takes you to in the moment, like joy. Like, that's that depressed joy. You know what those two views feel like. So now you're going to do something in the moment that will grab something. Maybe the past and the future will combine. That's a lot of the optimism I feel from this film. I believe this is the last one Kiarostami made. It certainly feels like a finale for him. It's a masterpiece, and it really is just a film that certainly, again, the filmmakers that it's preaching without feeling like it is whatsoever, because it's so naturally entertaining in its beauty, and it even has kind of like a sense of humor moving over all of it too. It's really funny, just the way the characters are, like, not like an but it's just like the way the characters just are quirky, in their own kind of ways. Everyone's quirky, and it makes that really relatable. And yeah, I just feel very obsessed with all these moments and frames. I really can't wait to see this again, because it really does kind of put you through a very unique kind of trance. And that's just the way this kind of film feels. It's just so much joy and energy looming over all of this that it really does kind of, and this is again why it's coming back to me, because I'm thinking about man's relationship with nature and woman's relationship with nature. On man's side, this is just showing something very simple of life. This is just showing how life is lived in a very simplistic way that's ultimately about to express something that it's almost like it could borderline seem like it's being repetitious, but it's just really slow paced to putting you into a certain way of life, like a philosophy of life, of utmost simplicity. Because, man's spirit in nature is always connected to nature, and I think that, especially because this came out in 1999, so I mean, this is literally had to be the most optimistic film to come out that year. Most years, I think a lot of the darkness of the internet was just catching up to that. That's I think this is a film where really, and I agree with this at the end. Man is connected to nature. I would prefer to spend day and night outdoors for the most extended period of time. He's sort of indoors for just like working on things. I don't really want to like hang out indoors for too long. Honestly, I always want to be outside, and when it's raining, just get sheltered. Like literally, just camp out. It feels great that way. That's why I'm watching movies, just write stories. Feel great. That's what the film expresses. What it is to live in simplicity, and how beautiful and rewarding it is. And the best part of it is it's free. Like literally, the best thing about it is free spirited. It's free to feel this way. You are, and it doesn't cost a dime. It's awesome. But yeah, there's nothing as intense here as like an earthquake, as we saw in life, and nothing more. It's really something that just what it is shows what it is to cling on to life in moments where you don't even know if you feel like it necessarily. That's a very big theme I think that's coming back. It's like sometimes you just don't always want to, but you just know in the end of the day you're gonna feel great for doing it, for pushing through, because it'll make you feel great later if you achieve the things that you're dreaming of and that are speaking to your soul and resonating with you in a natural kind of way. But it's a simplicity that really drives us to something that's just really powerful. Ultimately, it feels like it certainly is a certain kind of heaven on earth. And this is a film that actually does fear death, maybe the most, because it's kind of like there's some dialogue that kind of gets deep into how just unfortunate, it's like almost like once you kind of tap into how beautiful it is to be of this world, there's always going to be that moment where you'll never come back. You're going to the unknown, literally, but it's kind of afraid of the unknown because it's paradise. It's found its paradise on earth so naturally. Yeah, and this is just one of the best films I've ever seen. This is so genius, I think, and I think it's pretty underrated in the filmography. I believe this isn't one of his talked about, but I mean, it's just the way it's put together. It really shows geography. I think geography is a huge essence of it. Just feeling out in really rich detail what other countries like, to the point where I just feel like I went to this place and I experienced the culture in a way that's so natural that the storytelling just hits right at home because it's very natural and it's just, like I said, funny and dramatic at the same time. It's just very loose and laid back, ultimately. Definitely a lot of Japanese influence going into a lot of this in the simplicity. I think the film's like some of the Kira Kurosawa stuff, like Akira, the more humanistic stuff, as well as like spring, summer, autumn, winter, and spring. And this is also a huge influence on Wes Anderson films. I certainly can kind of feel that foundation too, because I think Wes Anderson, particularly in the 2000s, became a genius. I mean, I gotta see Rushmore. I didn't love Rushmore. I love Royal Tenenbaums. I mean, particularly in this film, he kind of wanted to just kind of bring a little bit more intense characterization. It's almost like a little bit combined with a little bit of a Paul Thomas Anderson, feeling. But I think he gets this foundation of like philosophy and feeling of beauty from Kiarostami. It seems like that's one of his biggest influences, as well as Miscellaneous Directors out of the 60s. Very 60s influence, man, that's certainly. This is really gorgeous, though. This is kind of how life triumphs death, and I think that's the thing for a lot of creatives is to have a particular grasp on what death is to you, and then figure out how living life is going to be worth it to rise above those feelings of death. On a daily basis, when you achieve that certain nirvana, I think, can be tapped into, and you can find it. I mean, every person can find that in their own kind of way. It's so cool. It's whatever points the finger the way that resonates with your soul the most. That's what you have to find, I think. That's what the film kind of communicates. It's like when you find that, you can really find a certain peace on earth. And this is kind of a demonstration of what that peace is really like. Everyone's just, working in their own kind of way. There's just never a moment where everyone's just not really like, everyone's always kind of living life to an extent. You feel like, that's the feeling I love when I watch films. I like the buzz that they're really living their lives. It's contagious, It literally comes over in a way. So that's the way, I like to go with it. This is just what it is to live, really. And it feels like Kiarostami's just made the ultimate film of simplicity within living. And I feel like this is just almost so good that it just feels like every moment of it just lives in my soul eternally. So, that's where the wind will carry us. This is one of the best films to come out of the 1990s, most certainly, which is coming back. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right now, it's almost becoming just everything from the 60s to the 2000s. Even the 2020s is just hitting me here. I feel like the 2020s, right now you could say a lot of it is just trying to understand what the point of everything of it was, just to build up to a direction, you could say, for the times to come here. And oh boy, I can't wait. I've got some anticipation built up for where all this is. I think this grasp on good and evil, good and bad, has needed to be met in a lot of ways. And films like this have been one of my favorite pointers for a lot of ways, because I see this in a lot of like Terrence Malick and Andrei Tarkovsky as well. Where it's just, this is so beautiful It lays on you so naturally without any fingers being pointed at you. It just makes you kind of naturally reach for something that just feels better, and it's almost you hit to a point eventually where it's like, well, why wouldn't it always? I always will strive to want it to be like this, Why not strive to always make it feel better and feel great for yourself? And that's what these films ultimately kind of communicate. That's so important. And yeah, this is perfect. This is really about the most optimistic film to come out of the 1990s. Magnolia had a lot of depression within its joy. This is a lot more just pure and happy, although they're equally perfect films in my eyes. I love Magnolia just as much. Everything else is pretty dark. Eyes Wide Shut, Matrix, Fight Club, American Beauty, all that stuff, Office Space, etc., etc. But yeah, this is perfect. I highly recommend it and to anybody, honestly. I think this is a very universal foundation that lives in this film, no matter your age, honestly. It's just another film that came out that year was pretty optimistic. Toy Story 2, that. But yeah, it kind of hits in that kind of level. They say that about Pixar films. I feel that way about this film. I feel that way about a lot of films. Doesn't want Space Odyssey. It's like going to get to teenage adult years. David Lynch, most certainly. But yeah, that's The One Who Cares. It's a highly recommended masterpiece.